Have you ever replayed a moment in your head and thought, what if I had done the other thing? Not a dramatic world ending decision, just a normal one. What if you took that job? What if you didn't send that message? What if you had stayed? What if you had left? Now imagine this. The moment you made that choice, reality split into two. One universe where you chose option A, and the other where you chose option B. And both versions of you are living with that decision. Welcome to the Sci-Fi Sophist. My name is Bill and I'll be your host. Parallel universes are everywhere in science fiction right now. But sci-fi doesn't love the multiverse because it's scientifically cool. It loves it because parallel universes tap into something deeply uncomfortable, the fear of choice. On paper, the multiverse sounds liberating. Every mistake is undone somewhere, every regret worked out differently, every failure succeeded in another timeline. But here's the lie. Sci-fi multiverses almost never feel comforting. They feel overwhelming. They feel existential and crushing. Because the multiverse doesn't say you can be anything, it says you could have been everything, and you aren't. At first, everything, everywhere, all at once treats the multiverse like a power fantasy. Evelyn sees versions of herself who are rich, successful, and admired, but the excitement doesn't last because every alternate universe becomes proof of something painful, that she could have been more. Each version of her is a reminder of a life she didn't live. And instead of inspiration, she feels shame. The multiverse becomes a highlight reel of perceived failure. That's the fear of choice made literal. Normally, regret lives in imagination. I could have, I might have, if only. Parallel universes remove that safety net. In sliding doors, one missed train creates two lives. One version thrives and the other struggles. Neither knows about the other one. But we do. And that's the pain. Because comparison is built into multiverse stories. Sci-fi forces us to look at the life we're living and measure it against the lives that we didn't choose. And comparison is where meaning starts to collapse. We like to believe choice equals freedom. More options, more control, more agency. But psychology tells us something else. Too much choice causes paralysis. Sci-fi scales that anxiety up to infinity. In a multiverse, every choice matters forever. And that's unbearable. Dark is ruthless about this idea. Characters believe that if they make the right choice, save the right person, change the right moment, everything will be fixed. But every attempt just reinforces the loop. Choice becomes a trap. No matter what path they take, tragedy persists. The multiverse isn't freedom. It's a maze with no exit. One of the cruelest ideas in multiverse fiction is the belief that there's a correct life. Sci-fi almost always destroys that illusion. Every time the past is fixed, something else breaks. Save one person, lose another. Remove trauma, erase identity. The message is clear. There is no timeline without loss. Rick and Morty plays the multiverse for laughs, but underneath the humor is something bleak. Infinite Earths mean infinite replacements. Lose your family, you just get another one. Destroy your world, there's a spare one. And yet Rick is miserable because when everything is replaceable, nothing matters. Infinity doesn't create freedom. It erodes responsibility. If infinite versions of you exist, then who are you? The smartest one, the happiest one, the most successful one? Or just the version who ended up here? Sci-fi gives an uncomfortable answer. You're not special because you're optimal. You're special because you're this. Miles Morales isn't the best Spider-Man. He's scared, inexperienced, constantly compared. But the story doesn't ask him to become the perfect version. It says to him, anyone can wear the mask. Meaning comes from commitment, not comparison. We live surrounded by alternate lives. Careers we could have chosen, relationships we could have had, versions of ourselves we could be projecting online. Social media is basically just a low-budget multiverse. Sci-fi just makes that anxiety visible. The villain isn't evil because of power. They're evil because they can't accept the life that they have. They believe happiness exists somewhere else, and they're willing to destroy reality to reach it. The warning is simple. Chasing the perfect timeline destroys the real one. Despite all the chaos, most multiverse stories resolve quietly. Not with control, not with perfection, but with acceptance. Meaning doesn't come from choosing the best life. It comes from choosing one life and staying with it. The multiverse isn't really about physics. It's about grief for unlived lives, fear of missed chances. It's about learning to say, this is the path that I chose. And maybe that's why these stories resonate so deeply. Not because they promise infinite possibilities, but because they remind us that meaning only exists when we let the other paths go. So, what are your thoughts on the concept of the multiverse? What are your favorite examples of the multiverse in sci-fi? Let me know down in the comments. And just to let you guys know, I am working on a follow-up video to this one that will dive into one of my favorite stories about parallel worlds. And it's not any of the ones that you're probably thinking of. So stay tuned for that. Go ahead and subscribe to my channel so that you'll know exactly when that video drops in the next few weeks. Take care, guys.